Okay, good morning. Today we are continuing with those solving equations with variables. Yesterday's objective was very similar. Yesterday was using adding and subtracting. Today we're doing PO17, which is solving equations using multiplication and division. So it's the same concept. We're doing the opposites. If we were adding yesterday, then we subtracted. If we were subtracting, then we're adding. Today, it's the same with multiplying and dividing. They are opposites. So we're going to do the opposite operation. So same thing like yesterday. You can do logic. You can do opposite operations. And you can do fact families. So let's look at that. 8n equals 32. What would my question be for logic? Grace?
8 times what number is 32?
8 times what number is 32? As opposed to what?
A number?
Well, but the question is what number? If you say 8 times a number is 32, it's not a question. It's a statement. So it should be what? Because we want it to be the question. Opposite operations. The opposite of multiplying 8 is dividing by 8. Dividing both sides of the equal sign by 8 will get the variable by itself. So I'm not sure why I'm hearing voices. It should be silent while we are doing our lesson, unless you are answering a question I asked, or you're asking me a question. These side conversations need to be done. So when we have that number right next to the variable, remember it means multiply. We just don't put that multiplication symbol in there, just like with parentheses. When a number is right next to that parentheses, it means we're going to multiply by it. So we're going to be seeing stuff like 8n, and we need to know that that means multiply. And we want to get the n by itself. So what's the opposite of multiplying, Grace? Dividing. So we're going to divide both sides by 8. What is 8 divided by 8, Lucas? 1. So if I put a 1n here, is that going to be any different than if I just put n?
No.
Because what is 1 times n? N. So we don't have to put a 1 in front of it, but we know that there's a 1 in front of that variable because 1 times n is n. Dominic, can you come sit up at the front table, please? So then we have 32 divided by 8, because remember that fraction bar means divide. Eyes this way. What is 32 divided by 8? Emerson? Oh, I thought your hand was up. Sorry, you were just playing with the air. Fiona? 4. 32 divided by 8 is 4. So now we have fact families. So how would I write this out? I'm starting with the 8 times n equals 32. What is the other way, the other multiplication way? Adessa? N times 8 equals 32. Then we need to do the dividing side. What does that look like, Blakely?
32 divided by n.
32 divided by n equals 8. What's my other dividing one, Owen? 32 divided by 8 equals n. So again, like with that adding and subtracting, we want that one where it's 32 divided by 8 equals n. Same thing that we had up here, 32 divided by 8 equals n. Just as in yesterday, you need to check your work. So as with any equation, once you find the value for a variable, go back and plug it into the original to make sure it works. So we have 8 times, we're saying n is 4. 8 times 4 equals 32. 8 times 4 is 32, so we get 32 equals 32. So that is a true statement. Any questions on the multiplying and dividing? Helps that we did the adding and subtracting yesterday, and we know it follows the same concept. We do the opposite to both sides of the equal sign, always so we can get that variable by itself when we're doing those opposite operations. Some of these, that logic works. We know 8 times what number? Well, it's 8 times 4. Got it. I know that. But as we go through pre-algebra, it's going to get more and more challenging, and we're not going to be able to do that mental math all the time. So this is just explaining how it works, and then in all honesty, we're going to be going to just having to do opposite operations because it gets complicated. So we're learning all 3 of them, so we understand about balancing out both sides of that equal sign, but we will be working up to having to do opposite operations. So using 2 methods from above each time, solve the variable in the equation. So I'm not going to make you do all 3 this time. You have to do 2 of them. You pick which 2 you're going to do. Let's do the first one together. What method should I use? Who can help me out? Emerson.
Opposite operations.
So tell me how I would do that with opposite operations.
You divide the 9 and by 9, and then the 90 by 9.
So I divide 9 by 9, I get 1. So I'm left just with n. 90 divided by 9 is what? N. What's another way I could solve this, Christian?
The logic method, which is 8 times what number equals 32.
So let's use this equation though.
9 times what number equals 9?
9 times what number is 90? And do you know logically what number times 9 would be 90? 10. N equals 10. We got a 10 here. Now we're going to go back and plug it in. So you do need to solve for the variable in the equation. So 9 times 10 equals 90. 9 times 10 is 90. So 90 equals 90. And I know I did my math correctly because I proved it by putting it back into my equation. So you are going to do the next 2 on your own. On our second page, you get to pick your favorite. It doesn't have to be the same way each time, but you do have to show your work. So if you're using the logic, you have to write the question out and put the answer. Then you have to check your answer. Go back, put your value into the equation. Show both sides are balanced out, both sides equal. Olivia.
Can you just do like one for the whole time for every single question?
Yep. If you want to do opposite operations every time, go for it. Yay. Okay. Then on the bottom, we've got 2 word problems. You need to decide, are we multiplying, are we dividing? Make sure you're doing it correctly. You need to write out what the equation is, pick which method you're going to use. Always make sure that you put your solution back into your value for your variable, back into your equation and make sure it works. Always double check. Is it logical? Is the answer that you get logical? So you have 189 golf balls and you want to pack them in boxes of 21 per box. How many boxes will you need? I look at that and I say 189 times 21 and I get 189 times 21. I get 3,969 boxes. Is that logically make sense? Do I want 3,969 boxes? I did something wrong. So I might have written out my equation and found the value and done that part correctly, but I messed up with how I set my equation up. Because if I only have 189 golf balls, I definitely don't want 3,000 boxes. So make sure you're setting your equation up correctly, that your answer makes sense. If you have 189 golf balls and we're putting 21 in every box, is our number going to be bigger than 189 or smaller? Smaller, right? We're putting up 21 in every box, so we're going to need less boxes than how many golf balls we have. Make sure it logically makes sense. If you are watching at home, we hope you are well. We hope you have a wonderful day. See you soon.